Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be talking about Cardano, exactly where it is, how it's been holding up through this very weird time that we're seeing with Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Before we get into the Cardano chart, we will talk about Bitcoin just slightly. We are still trading under the 42,000, still within our channel. Whether or not we go up in the near term is still up for debate. A lot of people have been saying that we could possibly see that V-shaped recovery and could see Bitcoin rebound from here. And obviously that's still possible. It's still a possibility that we can obviously do that, but we would need to do that within the next few months. Fairly soon. It shouldn't be anytime longer. If it is longer, we could potentially just trade in this channel. Now, one big thing to note, not just with Bitcoin, is how well some altcoins have held. And obviously we see a healthy amount in the market right now. Our crypto market is currently sitting at $1.7 trillion. So it's still pretty healthy, but we're still negative a lot of money. So there's still a lot to recoup, around $500 billion, give or take. Let's look at Cardano. Cardano has pumped incredibly so. So we talked about Cardano when it did drop. It held basically at the $1.50 mark, which was our line of support after we broke through the $2 mark, which again was our emotional barrier. So now we're sitting here at the $1.50 and we've been bouncing around in this zone. Now we did go down pretty far in this area, and this is when Bitcoin had gone down for its second dip, but it was able to rebound out of that dip and hold back again at the $1.50. Traded for that $1.50 for a little while, for a couple of candles. We're looking at the 4-hour chart here, and then it continued to pump apparently to $1.80. So very good for Cardano. There's a lot of health. No doubt that this rally has a lot to do with Charles Hoskinson, because he just came out yesterday, I believe, or the day before, talking about some of the roadmaps coming out for Alonzo, how Alonzo is going to be deployed. I actually think the color coding mapping is going to be talked about today, or has been talked about today. So we know that there's a lot of stuff coming down the pipeline for Cardano, and I've said it before, if crypto kind of goes on a little bit of a lull period for a little while, it's okay. It gives the opportunity for things like Cardano, things like Polkadot to catch back up for development and get, you know, basically functional by the time we're ready to make another bull run at it, and another crack at the whip, if you would. But right now, Cardano is showing a huge amount of strength, and we've seen this before with Cardano. We've talked about this before with Cardano. Every time Bitcoin has dumped, Cardano has always been able to hold a good amount and then pump again. And usually with these dumps, they're usually fueled by Bitcoin capitulating down. And we do see that here. Both times that Cardano dropped was mainly because Bitcoin took the market. But we can see that Cardano is holding very strong at the $1.50, and now is pumped up to around $1.75. So where is Cardano going? Now, I'm going to be a little tentative on saying anything can happen while Bitcoin is in its lull period. I still think that Bitcoin needs to make a bullish upturn and a bullish trend for Cardano to pump, but it's not required. Anything can happen, might happen. Just because it didn't happen in the last market cycles doesn't mean it doesn't have to happen differently in this market cycle. And as well, we don't have trading data for Cardano in last market cycles anyway, other than when it was launched, which really isn't enough to make a good, accurate guess of where it's going to go. So realistically, Cardano could do whatever it wants, but at the end of the day, we are still in this speculative market. Even though we have Alonzo right around the corner, we don't have it yet. There's still a lot of dApps waiting to be built on Cardano. We see that with the Sundae swap that we've been talking about, with the Giro wallet and everything else. There's a lot of other things coming for Cardano that are just waiting for smart contracts. So once we do get Alonzo coming out, we could see a huge bullish pump for Cardano. Now, a big thing to keep aware of, and a lot of times when there are updates like this, the updates are usually baked into the price. So we see Alonzo isn't out now, but I wouldn't be buying Cardano in anticipation for Alonzo to pump the price when it's launched. Oftentimes that pump happens before Alonzo comes out. So I wouldn't be banking on any sort of trades or anything based on news. Usually that's baked into the price. So keep in mind that this rally could be a part of that. It could be something bigger. Where Cardano could go in the near term, I think even with Bitcoin being in a lull, we could hit back up to $2 and trade up there for a little while. How much higher we could go for Cardano, I'm not quite sure. I still think that, you know, we're basically going to be held down from Bitcoin. So I think as long as Bitcoin is basically in this channel, I don't think much is going to happen. But if we do see Bitcoin basically peak out and bump above the 42,000 mark, we could see Cardano really fly. but I'm not really banking on anything quite yet. And that's only because of what we know previously in the market data and how historically cryptos have moved with Bitcoin, right? So again, I wanted to tentatively say anything realistically is on the cards for where Cardano can go, regardless of what Bitcoin's doing. So Cardano still could pump regardless if Bitcoin is in a lull period. But I would say the likelihood is more so that Cardano is just going to slowly regain some ground, build up a little bit, try to trade around the $2 mark. And then eventually when Bitcoin has a more bullish narrative, it can go ahead and start reaching up for those all-time highs, passing the $2.50 mark that we hit. So is an all-time high still in the cards in the next few months? It could be. It depends on how bullish the narrative gets around Cardano, around the Alonzo update, around Hydra, and all the other things coming out for the system. I know there's been a lot of people that comment down below, and a lot of people say all the time that, you know, Cardano, there's no updates happening. It's just a wallet blockchain. A lot of those people don't understand what it takes to actually develop these changes on a blockchain, especially when it's peer reviewed like Cardano. So there's going to be a delay, obviously, in updating the system, but we don't see any difference with a lot of other projects. Keep in mind, ETH 2.0 is still not out. We still have upgrades coming to the BSC. Polkadot is still not a full-fledged system. Everything is still a work in progress, and Cardano is not immune to that. But when you look at Cardano, what it's looking to do, how it's going to change the world in terms of global finance, I think Cardano is going to at least be a safe bet in the long term. And I know a lot of people, if you held Cardano, you're probably not suffering as much of the dip as other people have, because a lot of portfolios were wiped off maybe 50, 60, 70%, but Cardano held pretty strong and held a lot of its already magnificent gains. So regardless of the frustration that we had with Cardano back at $1.12 and everything else, I think Cardano has been a very, very good, stable, safe investment for a lot of people. And I hope that that trend continues, because I think as more people start to become more bullish on the Cardano system, I think that's just going to entice more people around. But it is important to keep these narratives in mind. We do know all these changes are coming out, and once we have smart contracts on the blockchain, really the sky is the limit for the near term. We've talked about our market cycle prediction, and obviously that could go a little bit higher depending on how long the market cycle is. I still think $8 this market cycle is in the cards. Maybe the more conservative estimate is probably $6, but there was somebody that did mention that they'd like to see a $6 ADA maybe by August or September. I'm not quite sure if we're going to see market peaks in August and September. Again, I think that's more in line of what Bitcoin's going to do. So I wouldn't bank on it, but again, long term, if you're holding Cardano, at least for the long term, and not worrying about what it's going to do in the next couple of weeks to months, it's probably going to be a great investment for you. And it is going to hit those $8 to $10 ranges eventually at some point down the road. Whether that's this year or next year, it's all dictated on where the market cycle is going to go from here. Another big thing to discuss is actually our Cardano Ether evaluation and how Cardano has moved. So we did break above our downward slope. Now we've just been kind of trading level against the Ethereum price chart. But I would say that this is all bullish. The fact that we're still up in this range is looking very good for Cardano. It would be nice to see a breakout for Cardano and Ether and have Cardano shoot up to maybe retest its all-time highs. I'm not sure if that would happen if Ethereum is dumping or if Cardano is just pumping by itself. So I'm not sure what the catalyst would be there, but this is all just another piece of the bullish narrative that's been happening. We know Cardano's up against Bitcoin, it's up against ETH, and it's up against the USD. Everything right now is looking really, really bullish for Cardano. So I would keep all of these notes in perspective. What's happening with Cardano, what's happening with the system, and what's happening here to the values on ETH, Bitcoin, and the USD. And just so you know, I will be on Sundae swap as soon as this is live. So once Cardano can facilitate this system being built, then I will absolutely be on Sundae swap. So it might even be advantageous of everyone to hold on to their Cardano and be able to stake it in a staking pool, earn Sundae token, and then provide that as liquidity and then earn on top of that. I'm a huge proponent on DeFi, and really, if you're in Cardano, you should be looking at DeFi anyway. And I think this is obviously going to be the next step for you. So go ahead and subscribe for more updates on that. All right, everyone. Happy hodling.